It is Tuesday, April 30th, the last day of April, and the Splash Zone is back in your life. I'm Matt Modi, and I have 3 NBA player props for you guys to lock in for tonight's NBA betting slate. It's been a rough stretch of days, 4 straight days in a row that have been pretty brutal, but I'm very confident we're going to be able to turn it around tonight. We have 3 games on tap for tonight. I have one pick in each game as well. Obviously, before I can give you today's picks, I got to do a recap from yesterday. As much as I don't want to, I still got to do a recap from yesterday, which was another tough day. One of my 4 picks cashed. D'Angelo Russell under was the only one that did. I lost Jason Tatum over 2.5 made 3-pointers. He hit 2 in the first half. He hit 0 in the second half. It was also a real punch in the gut to watch Derek White go off from deep the game after I took him. That would have been nice to have cashed earlier, but it didn't. I also lost Herb Jones over 1.5 made 3-pointers. He only made 1 on only 3 attempts, which was a pretty big outlier for him. So just a bad play there. And then I also lost Jokic over 27.5 points. Did not expect Jamal Murray to have the game that he did. I thought he was going to be more banked up. Another bad play, bad read there. 1 of 4, so 1 win, 3 losses yesterday, down 2.75 units. That now brings our total profit. We're still obviously significantly up on the entire season. We're up about 106 units. But this 4-day stretch has now put us in the red in the playoffs overall. It's been a terrible 4-day stretch. So I'm very hopeful and confident that we're going to be able to turn it around tonight. If you're still rocking with me, I appreciate you. Would also appreciate it if you could like the video and comment. And then if you are new to my channel, welcome. You're probably going to miss the worst stretch of NBA that we've had. This has been the worst on the season. So if you're new, that's behind us. You're probably going to get us on the upswing. So would appreciate it if you could subscribe. And then the last thing I'll mention before I get into today's picks is that I do have a Dub Club for $5 a month where I send out all of my plays, get sent directly to your phone via text, email, or Telegram. It is the same plays that you see me give out on YouTube and on Twitter. I just send them out early. Sometimes by the time I record, edit, and then post the YouTube video, the odds change. So the Dub Club is a way to counteract that. You just get everything sent directly to your phone. You're able to lock plays in before the lines change and stuff like that. If you're interested, a link for it is in the description of the video as well as the pinned comment. That's enough of that. Let's hope we can turn things around. Let's hope we can splash around and get wet tonight. Feels like a 3-for-3 day. Starting in the Pacers versus Bucks game, I'm taking Miles Turner under 20.5 points, -112 odds at DraftKings. Absolutely fading outlier performances with this one. I admit this one is going to feel a little bit scary because you just watched Miles Turner blow up for 2 straight games. To me, that screams the perfect time to fade him, fade those outlier shooting performances. It's been an interesting series for the Pacers in games 1 and 2. Siakam blew up. Games 3 and 4, Miles Turner blew up. Granted, Miles Turner did play well in game 2, going over the point total that we are taking him to go under for tonight. But in games 3 and 4, it was a really otherworldly performance from Miles Turner. He scored 29 points in each of those games on ridiculously, especially absurd shooting. He went 4 of 10 from deep in game 3. 10 3-point attempts is a lot for a non-Karl-Anthony Towns, Kristaps Porzingis center. He made 4 of them. 40% is a good game. He followed that up with a ridiculous 7 of 9. 7 of 9 from deep in game 4. I know he's been good this series, of course. Those are results that I see outlier shooting performances, and I immediately want to fade those performances. Maybe I'm going to feel dumb for doing this, and he's just going to turn himself into Dirk Nowitzki for a playoff run, become the best shooting big man in the NBA. But I see that 2-day stretch, making 11 3-pointers in a 2-game stretch, and I immediately say, okay, that's an outlier performance. I want to bet the opposite of that. This isn't as though we're watching prime Steph Curry, prime James Harden go off from 3. It's Miles Turner, who has turned himself into a good shooter. But let's put things into perspective. So he's made 3 or more 3-pointers in all 4 games this series. Literally 4 straight making 3 or more 3-pointers, with the last 2 making 4 and 7, as I mentioned. At no point in the regular season did Miles Turner have a stretch where he even had 3 straight games where he made 3 or more 3-pointers. Now he's done it in 4 straight. Again, to me, that screams outlier. Even if he gets up another 10 attempts, the things are going to start swinging back the other way. The hot shooting stretch is just bound to come to an end. And you hope that the Bucks are going to play him a little differently as well, not just continue to give him wide open 3-pointers. Now it is Doc Rivers coaching the Bucks, so maybe they're just going to leave him wide open, continue to do the same thing they've been doing. I've seen that movie before a million times as a Sixers fan, but just the way that he's been shooting, to me, I feel as though is an unsustainable rate. So I love fading those crazy, ridiculous results as our first play. Next up, we're going to the Magic versus Cavaliers game, and I'm taking Donovan Mitchell over 24.5 points, minus 105 odds at Bet Rivers. For this one, we're hoping that Donovan Mitchell is able to back up his talk after game 4. He had a quote where basically, I can summarize it for you, saying that he needed to be aggressive, that 4 shot attempts in the second half of game 4 and 5 shot attempts in the second half of game 3. That's unacceptable. He mentioned how his shot attempts in games 1 and 2 are more in line with what they should be. That's what he's hoping to get back in his performance in this one. And he attempted 21 and 22 shots in games 1 and 2, scoring 30 and 23 points. Obviously still going under in game 2, but the 22 shot attempts, that's what I love to see. Now, I will admit for this play, for the Donovan Mitchell one, I was debating going with his first quarter points as opposed to his full game, despite the fact that he's gone under in 3 of the 4 games on his full game point prop over under. He's actually cashed the over in the first quarter in 3 of the 4 games. So if you'd rather not rely on him having another disappearing act in the second half, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to go the first quarter points route. I decided to stick with the full game, mostly just based on his comments. And a lot of times you see this with players. They talk about how they need to be better. A lot of them are able to back up their talk, especially for someone like Donovan Mitchell, who has shown this ceiling ability in the playoffs before. So based on his comments, that's why I felt comfortable going with the full game point prop. Again, if you wanted to go with the first quarter, I wouldn't blame you. I'm just going to track whether the full game hits. But again, I wouldn't blame you for doing that. And I do think that there are actual matchup advantages for Donovan Mitchell against this Magic team as well. This was a number that he went over in 2 of 3 regular season games against the Magic. And I know the playoffs are different, but went over in 2 of 3 regular season games. And then he went over in game 1 as well, scoring 30 points. And the reason why, it's all based on how the Magic play defense. They have a really, really good defense, for sure. And they will do anything to stop scoring in the interior, right? If you look at their numbers, they're one of the best defenses at letting up points in the paint, meaning they don't let up a lot of points in the paint. They almost allow nothing at the rim, but they will sell out to do so. And that means that they can be beat on the perimeter, especially with guards like Donovan Mitchell, who can pull up. On the entire season, the Magic gave up the 8th most field goal attempts via pull-ups in the entire NBA, and the 6th most pull-up three-point attempts specifically. Now looking at Donovan Mitchell, he's one of the best pull-up shooters, pull-up players in the entire NBA. He averaged the 6th most points per game in the entire NBA. Literally of all qualified players, he averaged the 6th most points per game, specifically via pull-ups, while attempting the 4th most pull-up three-pointers as well. So with all that said, I also do like his 3-point prop as well. I did want some skin in the game on his 3-pointers, so I decided to just take him to make 4 plus 3-pointers, and I put that for a half unit at plus 210 odds at FanDuel. His main line over under is at 2.5 at about minus 125 odds. I didn't want to have both his points and his 3-pointers main line, so I instead decided to just ladder his 3-point prop, getting him to make 4 plus. Again, that's at plus 210 odds at FanDuel. That's our second play. Third and final pick of the video, Sixers versus Knicks game. I'm taking Dante DiVincenzo over 2.5 made 3-pointers, plus 100 odds at Bet Rivers. So our last play of the day, admittedly, is not super spicy in terms of odds, but I do really, really like this play for Donovan Mitchell to make 3 or more 3-pointers. He's going back home, going back to New York, where he traditionally shoots better. If you look at his splits at home, he's made 3 or more 3-pointers in 8 of his last 10 home games and in 12 of his last 15 as well. Now, that obviously does date back to the regular season. And if you look at the playoffs, we only have a 2-game sample size, but he did make 3 or more 3-pointers in 1 of the 2 games at home in this series, while he didn't do it in any of the road games in Philly. But what I love about his 2 home games are his attempts. He attempted 10 in each game, and he attempted 10 3-pointers in game 1. He only played about 25 minutes, so he attempted 10 in limited playing time. He only shot 2 of 10, so it wasn't a great shooting game. But then he bounced back in game 2 and he shot 4 of 10. Obviously hit that massive game-winning shot in game 2 as well. Then when he went to Philly, admittedly, his attempts were down. He attempted a combined 10 3-pointers in those 2 games, 3 in game 3, 7 in game 4, and he played less than 30 minutes in both of those games as well. But heading back to New York, where he has historically shot better, I'm expecting him to play around that 30-minute mark as opposed to the 28-minute mark that he played in games 3 and 4, especially with the banged up Bogdanovic. And we'll see what the Knicks do with their rotations. I mean, they won the game going small in game 4, so we'll see how things change in game 5. But going back home, expecting him to play more minutes and expecting him to shoot better as well. And this has been, on this season, a good matchup for Donte DiVincenzo. He's played the Sixers well in the regular season, made at least 3 or more three-pointers in literally all 4 regular season games against the Sixers. He actually made 4 or more three-pointers in 3 of the games. So one time he made 3, the other 3 times he made 4. And again, I know the playoffs are a different animal, but going back home in front of his home crowd with a chance to close out the series where he has historically shot better, coming off of 2 bad shooting performances in a row where he made a combined 2 of 10 three-pointers, I'm expecting things to swing back the other way for Donte DiVincenzo, for him to have a good shooting game. Rounding out our third and final pick of the video. If I decide to play more plays, I will send them out to my Dub Club and then on Twitter as well. As for now, just rocking with these 3. Let's hope we can have a good game. Would love a 3-0 night tonight. Again, if you're not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and then like the video, comment on this as well. Check out the Dub Club if you're interested, but I appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.